Judging by the tension at this community forum in Merewether last night, it's clear that Newcastle ratepayers are still largely dissatisfied with their rates system.
A list of all councillors and the rates that they pay on the old system.
Known as the ad valorem system, it means rates are calculated on our land values. It assumes, for instance, that everyone in Merewether can afford rising rates, whether they live in an old weatherboard home or in a luxury home overlooking the beach. For one elderly resident who's lived in Burner Street, Merewether for 62 years, the system means she'll be hit with a rates bill this year totalling more than $3,000.
Their income hasn't increased. All they know is they've got a piece of paper from the Valuer General saying their land has increased in value, and the council thinks they should pay more in rates because of that.
An alternative option presented to ratepayers is a combination of the ad valorem system to account for 50% of the charge, with the other 50% to be levied on a fixed base rate. Base rates are basically a user pay system, which means the rates burden is distributed equally amongst Newcastle's 55,000 residents and 4,000 commercial property owners.
So in reality, what could result in, say, a $400 rate decrease in those higher valued areas will just result in a $10 increase maybe to the balance of the ratepayers because there's so many of them.
Councillors will vote on the rate system in the May budget.
Today, the Westpac branch on Maitland Road at Mayfield closed its doors after half a century of business, another casualty of head office cutbacks. Staff happy to be reassigned to other branches, but customers not so happy with the arrangement.
It's a pretty kick in the stomach for the people around Mayfield here. A lot of the elderly people have been here in this branch for many, many years. They've now got to move to Hamilton, which is the closest branch around this place.
Well, of course, it makes it very difficult for the local business people because they've got to go to some other suburb, which when you're talking small business, means either having staff to take over or having to close your business to go and do your banking.
While by no means happy about it, the people of Mayfield are getting used to bank closures. In recent years, the St George Bank closed its doors, then the National Bank closed 2 branches, one less than 12 months ago. After today's closure of the Westpac branch, the Commonwealth Bank will be the next cab off the rank when it merges with the Colonial.
They're not completely closing, but it will be less choices, yes.
Like Victoria's Bendigo Bank, local financial institutions like the Newcastle Permanent are preparing for new customers and have already introduced business banking to a range of services. Matt Carden, NBN News.
In former times, Strait was a neighbourhood where locals say everyone was friendly and people felt safe. But over the past few months, residents have been living in fear.
It has changed. All the young ones, and you know what I mean. It's not right, is it?
But there's a lot of older people in this flat and these flats, and it is worrying for them.
2 people have been stabbed in as many weeks, and drug deals are done openly on the street.
But they're not keeping it secretive either. They're sort of just yelling out, "Oh, I'm going up, here to see if I can get some drugs."
But police say they don't regard the Bar Beach Department of Housing estate as a crime hotspot.
Of course, where you've got people that are densely populated in low rental situations, there is call for police response at times.
Although not nominating any initiative in Bar Beach, the Department of Housing claims it's currently working with tenants and the local community to encourage safe and friendly neighbourhoods. However, it says illegal activity is a matter for the police. It does state, though, if tenants are caught using their premises for criminal activity such as drug dealing, the department will have them evicted. Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
There's no limit to what people will steal, from all the usual targets like bicycles, televisions and computers to microwave ovens, video cameras and the new favourite among thieves, mobile phones. Recognise anything?
Police have made all the inquiries to find the owner and they've been unable to locate an owner for the property. It's been held the mandatory 3 months and it's now ready to be auctioned.
There's the giant polished timber crosses thought to have been taken from a church, the letterbox pinched from number 19 with hose roller and sprinkler to match, complete with a concrete Holden Ute bird bath.
It's obviously a wide range and some of those things are very, very unique and very unusual.
If you need your photocopier back, your long-lost coin collection or that set of hydroponic lamps, you'll have the chance this weekend. All the items go under the hammer on Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Maitland Auction Centre. Paul Lobb, NBN News.
What a great start to the year for Jackie Munro. A win in the opening Grand Prix Series round at Newcastle, a state championship and last night another National Series win. It was all smiles, and why not? Jackie ran a 13.72 second time into a headwind to blitz the field.
She's going to have a good career ahead of her, this young girl.
It was also her third win against Debbie Edwards since the Olympic qualifier. Edwards beat Munro for a spot at the Sydney Games, but the Madawi runner has the inside running for a spot at the World Championships later this year. But it was meets like this, however, where it all started for Jackie. She actually still holds 2 records at the Northern Country Little Athletics Championships that is being contested this weekend at Glendale's Hunter Sports Centre. More than 1,300 competitors are taking part over the 2-day event, but only the top 3 finalists in each event will go on to contest the state championships in March. For years, Joshua Blair has dominated the Hunter Branch Ironman, and with his brother Shane lining up in the top ranks now as well, it could become a family thing. Fellow Swansea Belmont clubby Chad Griffiths, though, had other ideas. He actually led after the opening board and ski legs, but Blair Senior simply bided his time before striking on the swim leg, powering away for a comfortable win ahead of Matt Rees and Griffiths in a Swansea Belmont trifecta. On her home break, Stockton's Marika McMahon made up plenty of ground in the Iron Woman final to actually win comfortably. Olympian Peter Scott looked relaxed ahead of the open men's ski. Once the gun went, it was all business, and he wasn't looking for overtime. The redhead clubby powering away to easily win the second heat before taking the final. Cooks Hill boys dominated the under-18 division, but while Swansea Belmont pinched the ski final in that division, the club easily won the overall point score. There's no doubting the level of sporting talent in the Lake Macquarie region. 5 Olympians are among the finalists for the top award, while the list of junior talent is also growing. Sailor James McAllister named the junior sportsperson after a stellar season that included a world title. Something must be in the water. The disabled sportsperson scholarship went to another sailor in Marianne Island, while the Masters winners were also off the water. Rowing brothers Peter and Don Ellerkamp, joint victors. Administrator of the Year went to long-serving netball official David Clawson, but the big award of the night was Olympic 49er sailor Chris Nicholson's. It's not the first time he's won, but given the level of rising talent, perhaps he's last. Ford fans have waited a long time to have a champion driver like Craig Lowndes. He was smoking things up at Newcastle Speedway last night. 7-time state sidecar champion Darren Trelaw, though, was left steaming after he was controversially excluded from the title final after touching the starting tape. After plenty of debate, he did leave. Grant Bond and Vic Gavenlock, the eventual winners. And redhead triathlete Boyd Conrick took out the Trial Bay event today at Southwest Rocks.
A lot of New Zealanders travel to Australia now. A lot of them who enter via Sydney actually end up in the Hunter Valley.
If I lose, but the miracle just won't happen. I'm too quick, I'm too strong, I'm too cute to get beat.
Remove the stinger immediately. Don't rub sand on the sting area like used to be in the old days. Just wash it down with either salt water or fresh water and then put a cold pack on it. If you haven't got a cold pack, a nice cold can of drink or something like that.
Most road safety campaigns traditionally involve young drivers or young families, but Port Stephens Council's new Roadwise program is different.
We have a higher percentage of our population as seniors. The other thing we do have is more older drivers because we have less public transport systems here.
5 local seniors were today sworn in as peer educators. They'll travel around talking to fellow over 60s about driver and pedestrian safety issues.
It can be a more formal presentation to a larger group of people or an informal friendly chat with a lot of interaction.
I thought it was an excellent idea and something I really would like to be involved in.
Kel Connell decided to get involved after suffering a nasty scare on the roads himself. Now he just wants to help others his own age deal with similar situations.
Our reflexes are probably a little bit slower as we get older, but also it's a matter of coping with accidents as well.
Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
A lot of work out there in the industry, and they can't make a living out of it. We don't accept that.
Usually teams who draw away from home are happy to leave with the one competition point, but Newcastle know time is starting to slip away in the race for playoffs. And looking at some of the first half opportunities that came United's way, it looked to be a win that did get away from them. Asala Massey looked dominant, but he just couldn't find the back of the net. Mark Wilson too had his chance. Goalkeeper Bob Catlin did his job at the other end, again strong in front of his goal mouth. After half-time though, there was little stopping a spectacular header from Michael Santalab. With time running out, you got the feeling it was getting away from Newcastle. But substitute striker Daniel McBreen has made a habit of dropping in goals for United this season. He scored 3 for the youth team on Friday night, and then this for the senior side.
Luck's running with me at the moment. Scored 3 on Friday night and 1 yesterday, so yeah, it's all. I'm enjoying it at the moment, so hopefully I can get a start this week.
He should find out on Wednesday.
The control room of the Redbank power plant was a hive of activity today as engineers switched on the turbines to create electricity for the first time.
Today we're going to start actually connect to the system and start actually generating electricity, so it's a big day.
The plant burns tailings, a waste product of coal mining, which are transported along a 3.5 kilometre conveyor belt from the nearby Warkworth coal mine.
Through a process which was developed in Newcastle University, actually we're extracting the fuel from this. We actually use this to burn in the boiler.
And being a world first means the plant has attracted a lot of international attention. The process of burning coal tailings has worked so well, in fact, management is now looking at building a second power plant.
We intend to build it probably within 15 to 20 minutes of this, if not actually next door. It will be certainly in this very area.
The plant, which has the capacity to supply electricity to up to 100,000 people, will continue fine-tuning for the next 2 months. Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
It's a harness race so long it takes 4.5 minutes to complete. The only thing harder than attempting it is calling it.
Our race caller Johnny Gilmore, he'll be huffing and puffing towards the end, but it's a terrific spectacle and it's just something different, and that's one of the keys to the success of the race.
With last year's winner Christmas Cloud not backing up and a field featuring 14 of the best pacers from Sydney to Newcastle, just who'll win is anyone's guess. Sydney entrant Step Outside is rated highly despite being number 14 in last night's barrier draw, while others like a local hope.
I'm going to stick with a local. It's basically even. Half the field's local, half the field's from Sydney. I'm going to tip Barrister. It's owned locally by Philip Egg and the people from Webster's, trained by one of our committeemen, Glenn Frew, and it's drawn barrier 2. It's off the front. I think all it's got to do is step away, and it's going to give you a great sight.
Once again this year though, accurate punters won't be the only big winners, with the event raising funds for the Breast Cancer Institute of Australia.
They raised $10,000 last year, and we're hoping we can match that this year.
When the concept of Still River was first unveiled to the public by BHP in 1997, it was to a catch cry by the state government predicting the site would create 2,000 jobs by the year 2000. But it seems the 104-hectare site could soon be hosting another round of bold new proposals from the Newcastle consortium who bought the site this week from BHP. The new developers today acknowledge there have been some hurdles along the way.
The site has had its complexities. The zoning created a whole lot of new issues that had to be addressed, and they weren't addressed overnight. It goes through many government departments.
A major sticking point was overcome when BHP completed almost $16 million of remediation work on the site last year, finally paving the way for Australia's first eco-industrial park. At least 4 proposals have been put forward to the consortium, who are hoping to attract some high-tech industries to the estate.
We're aware of several other companies that are investigating the site through builders and the like, so it's just a matter of time as they come out.
The site will soon be the home of CSIRO's Energy Technology Centre, with construction expected to start by July. Helen Kapelos, NBN News.
To the Great Northern Hotel, where the police will stop the traffic.
Don't miss out. Big wave.
New South Wales Nurses Association says overcrowding at James Fletcher Hospital isn't a new allegation by staff, but in recent months it's become a more serious complaint, with members claiming it's exposed them to unsafe work situations involving both verbal and physical assaults.
On numerous occasions we've had situations, unfortunately, where there have been more patients admitted onto a ward than there are beds. So, fold-out divans have been used and other sort of temporary accommodation, and it really is not an acceptable thing for patients or for staff.
At least one assault is under investigation by Hunter Area Health, with a female staff member taking stress leave this week after an incident involving a male patient.
It's unfortunate that we have to get to this stage for action to be taken.
A meeting between management and the association has been scheduled early next week.
There was no doubting Newcastle had the better of the first half, but few could understand how it remained scoreless at half-time. John Bonavolia was looking dangerous, his speed beating all but goalkeeper Josh Perosh. The Spirit went above the law to cut down the pint-sized striker. But when awarded a shot from the spot, he had no one to blame but himself. Asila Massey weighed in with a shot. That one saved, another landing a real blow on Stu Housen. After half-time, United got to reenact the start of the game, with Bonavolia again brought down in the penalty box. Anthony Surgeon made sure the sequel was a real hit. Then it all started for the Spirit. After rarely looking like scoring, Matthew Langdon landed one. Ben Burgess wasn't impressed in being subbed by Daniel Watkins, but his replacement couldn't have started better. 7 minutes later, he had a second, and it was 3-1. While the hardly threatening-looking free kick summed up United's night. Substitute Daniel McBreen kept up his trend by scoring from the bench, but 4-2 was how it finished. No one expects an easy game in a semi-final, but that's exactly how Victorian Lee Pearson made it look against Italian Leonardo Azzaro. The Australian raced to a 3-love lead in a matter of minutes before going on to score a 6-love, 6-1 win. He'll face Peter Clark, who monstered Yeaman Crabb in the final set of their semi-final. Clark fired down 3 successive aces to set up match point. He won in 3 sets after an early scare, losing the first. Glassy conditions reflected the top level of competition in the Longboard Pro-Am at Bar Beach today, with things very much to defending champion Bo Young's liking. He walked into the quarterfinals with an impressive first-up display. Meanwhile, hometown girl Belinda Baggs looks in great touch as well, winning her heat in the women's division. The finals are tomorrow. Still in the water, and 365 braved the cross-the-lake swim on Lake Macquarie this morning, with all but 3 completing the challenge. The quickest, Michael Legg, in 42 minutes 22 seconds, ahead of Tom McGregor, while the first women home was Charnel Crossingham, who was actually 4th overall.
1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. It's a familiar phrase describing the amount of time the Army Reserve troops will spend in training. And today, 300 of the country's infantry reserves reached the halfway point of the 2-week camp. During the fortnight, our backup troops learn about more than just firearms and explosives.
To qualify students in promotion and trade courses. Predominantly it's Army Reserve. We've captured them for the 14 days.
Field formations and tactics are just another lesson on the cards for the young soldiers, furthering their skills from their initial 6-week training course. But it's not all theory, as only the Army could offer there was a more hands-on approach to training today, like vehicle recovery. The reserves have another week of training to go before returning to their usual routine. Adam Harper, NBN News.